When I was little, Sinclair gas stations were dino gas stations, and they gave out toys. To this day, the picture of a bright green sauropod makes me so happy. But you know, liking fossils never made me any good at finding them. I once thought I'd found some amazing fossil mammal teeth. I was looking on an old shooting range. I'd found expended bullets. That's it. Well, fortunately for the world of science, I am not a scientist. I'm just a geek with an arrested fixation on dinosaurs. Normally, people I know, they get up early on Saturday mornings and they drive to the mountains and ski. I get up early on Saturday mornings and I drive to the Natural History Museum and I scrape dirt off fossils because they let me volunteer in the fossil prep lab. When I'm not in the prep lab and when I'm not at work, I maintain a little website about the history of paleontology. Mostly it's about the history of mistakes in paleontology. I started that site in 1996, so I have devoted the last 24 years of my free time to snarking at old science mistakes. Makes up for not having a social life. Even if you do have a social life, I urge you to snark at old science mistakes too. Why? It's fun. The people I am laughing at, they are long gone now. It's not like they're going to get their feelings hurt. But above all, irreverence leads to awe. It makes you appreciate how much science has improved with time. Let me give you an example involving the kind of fossil that you might find in your Natural History Museum. In 1663, workers found some fossil mammal bones in a gypsum quarry in Germany. The bones probably belonged to several animals that lived during the Pleistocene Ice Age, and they may have been a combination of mammoth and woolly rhino remains, so like the animals you see behind me. Those bones found their way to an engineer named Otto von Guericke, and he assembled what he thought was a reasonable reconstruction. We know about that reconstruction because a picture of it appeared in a book by Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz, and this was a cool episode in the history of science. It was one of the earliest known attempts to reconstruct a fossil vertebrate. Just one little problem. Yeah, it's a unicorn, balanced on two legs and the tip of its tail. How did this happen? Were Guericke and Leibniz fools? No. Guericke and Leibniz were polymaths. Guericke invented one of the world's first vacuum pumps. Leibniz is credited with developing calculus independently of Isaac Newton. But these gentlemen had a problem. They lived in the 17th century. In their culture, some very smart people still tried to transmute lead into gold. Some folks tried to explain all the world's geology with a single flood. In those days, it wasn't clear what a fossil even was. Now, today, a fossil is defined as any evidence of ancient life. Someone had to figure that out. A fossil used to be defined as something you dug out of the ground. It could be a crystal. It could be an artifact. If it really was a fossil, it could turn up in a weird place, like what's this clamshell doing in the mountains? So a popular explanation was that the Earth made fossils. They had nothing to do with plants or animals. Guericke and Leibniz here at least offered a kind of modern definition of a fossil, even if they did believe in unicorns. They weren't the first to say that fossils were the remains of living things, but they were early adopters. And while this was nuts, this mistake helped advance science. By the early 19th century, scientists pretty much agreed on what fossils were. And different fossils in different rock layers showed sharp minds that Earth had a vast pre-human history and some kind of weird inhabitants. Scientists began describing fossils older and frankly way cooler than woolly mammoths. They described dinosaurs. Best discovery in the history of anything, ever. The first recognized dinosaur fossil was named by William Buckland, the man behind this diagram. The second dinosaur, and William Buckland named that, I should say, in 1824, Oxford professor. The second dinosaur was named by a country doctor in 1825. Gideon Mantell named Iguanodon for teeth that looked like giant iguana teeth. So in the early days of dinosaur reconstruction, dinosaurs were giant iguanas. More finds led to better reconstructions, and by the time I collected my Sinclair gas station dinosaurs, Iguanodon was much improved. Still, I grew up with pictures of tail-dragging sauropods spending their lives standing in lakes. I confess, I'm no spring chicken, but paleontology has advanced a lot just since I was a little kid. And with paleontology, a lot of the tools of the trade, pickaxes and brushes and shovels, they haven't changed much in the past couple centuries. Interpretations have improved because our knowledge has accumulated. So laughing at old mistakes isn't entirely fair, but it's fun. 17th, 18th, 19th century scientists, they won't be offended now. And science-literate people of the future will one day laugh at us. Now, not everything in the history of science is all that funny. It's pretty shocking to see how long and how successfully racism masqueraded as science. But it's encouraging to know science doesn't champion racism or sexism as exuberantly as it used to. I can't speak to the experience of a person of color, but if I had lived in the days of Guernica and Leibniz, I wouldn't get to vote or keep my own wages, and I wouldn't get to know one thing about dinosaurs. Living now, I can see that the story of science is astonishing. Anatomically modern humans have been around for about 300,000 years. But replacing unicorns and alchemy with paleontology and chemistry, that happened in about 3 centuries. As a 21st century geek who mistakes expended bullets for mammal teeth, and I actually did that, I get to laugh at the inventors of calculus and vacuum pumps because they didn't know any better than to back a unicorn tripod. Right now, when an awful lot is not right about the world, the story of science shows us that there really has been progress. So the next time you despair that the world feels headed absolutely in the wrong direction, tell you what, you just find yourself a picture of some old, messed up dinosaurs, and then pat yourself on the back. You know better.